We had like a 2 week hiatus with no coach, and all of a sudden, the news breaks, and they're like, "Yeah, Bob Huggins is getting here," and we all look to Jerry West's son, Johnny West, who was on the team, because he knows everything about basketball, and we're like, like, what do we need to know about this coach? And he goes, it's gonna be hard. So we're like, all right. We all came in to shoot threes and and play zone. Like, so I actually went back home to New Jersey, and I went to Seton Hall as I always go to Seton Hall to get runs when I went back to New Jersey. And I ran into a guy that played for Coach Huggins, Jahad Muhammad, at Cincinnati. And it was like literally like a whim type deal. I just ran into him because he had never been to the runs before. And I run into him. I'm like, hey, like they said you used to play at Cincinnati and used to, play for Coach Huggins. Like, what can you tell me about him? He's like, it's going to be difficult, but it's a good difficult. And at the end of the day, you'll get a big ass hug after practice, and it's nothing personal. It's literally basketball, and you'll become a better person for it. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like friggin' 19 at the time. I was like, all right, cool. I'll stick the shit out. Like, it's whatever. And then he gets there, and I get a chance to meet him. And he doesn't, unlike most coaches I've had, like I told you before, he didn't talk at me. Like, the first thing he did when he came in, he asked me some questions, and it was more or less just like, what do you want to do when you're done playing in college? And I told him, I was like, I want to play professional basketball. I want to be a pro. And he's like, you stick around here and you work your ass off, you'll get that. And he kept his promise. So like, he's always been, honest to me, always told me everything I needed to hear the way I needed to hear it. So like, and obviously he prepared me for life. I mean, it's easy going to college and everything is basically taken care of for you, but he did a great job of preparing everybody in that locker room for what was going to be waiting for them out there, because it's no easy picnic for any of the guys younger listening.
So, Coach, I actually want to expand on that point a little bit. Dave said you coach hard. I think everybody knows that you're as tough as anybody when it comes to the actual coaching on the court. But you always have the balance where your guys and you have a great relationship. Like, I've never heard someone say something bad about you after the fact. And we've seen it a little bit with Greg Marshall and Billy Gillespie, how some of that style of coaching maybe isn't as prolific as it's been in the past. So I'm like, how do you manage that balance? How do you do it where your guys know that you have their support? Like, you can coach them hard and you can push them to the brink, but you still have that relationship. Like, how do you manage that? It can't be easy.
I think my dad, I played for my dad. My dad coached really hard, but there wasn't the afterward, the relationship. You know what I mean? I mean, it was my father, so we had that relationship, but there wasn't a give and take situation. I think a lot of it was I was a player. I didn't like the way I was coached a lot. To be honest with you, I don't think most guys do. But I just have always had a good relationship with people. I think that's important. I mean, why would you not? I don't know what anybody would get out of being an asshole. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I try to explain to them, it's this way on the floor, but it's totally different off the floor. This is business. We got to take care of business, and we're going to take care of business on the floor. And some days you're going to like it, some days you're not going to like it. Grow up. Now, off the floor, that's another deal. And I'll tell you, I was blessed, man. I came in and got a great bunch of guys. Great bunch. I laugh all the time. I see Mazzulla over there coaching on the Celtics bench. And I always I laugh to myself. We scrimmaged Virginia. He must have turned it over 6 or 7 times. And I didn't say a word to him. And he came over and he said, take me out. I suck. I said, I know. I just want you to get it all out now. Get it all out now, and then maybe we can fix it. He said, "You ain't gonna take me out." I said, "No, I'm not gonna take you out. Keep throwing the shit out of bounds." At which, Joe and I laugh about that now, but I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, as the saying goes. I like people. I do. I like people. I love basketball. So it's easy. That part of it's really easy.
Yeah, and I would just say more or less when we were doing our stuff on the court, it was never like how can I put it? Things could get personal, but it never crossed the line to the point where you felt like, all right, I need to tell somebody what was going on. Like it wasn't that kind of vibe. Like you brought up some of the other coaches. Like it never got to that. Now things can get personal when you don't do your job because it's you're the person that's not doing it. But it's never to the point where guys are hiding in basements for years and stuff like that. It's like, no, we never got to that. Like that's not the deal. That's not how we did things there. So.
I think it's kind of exemplified too by the moment at the Final Four, and I did want to talk about that a little bit. Just, I mean, to me, that's one of the most memorable moments from kind of recent college. But I've been doing this since like 2008, and that's always stood out to me because, on a stage like that, a coach being like showing that emotion and having that connection with the player, I don't think you see it that often. So can you just kind of, Dave, like what? Can you take me through what you remember about that moment and kind of what it meant to you that coach was there for you?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd never hurt myself before, so I was asking if they can like fix this so I can get back out there. And they're like, "Yeah, you're not getting up. You're not getting up." So I was in pain, obviously. And once again, man, I was more focused on like winning the game. I didn't really know what was going on, but I was so worried about us winning. I wanted to win for the team, for the state. And, coach came over and basically just like reassured me that I'd be fine. And I did everything I possibly could and just to relax and, stuff you need to hear when you're hurt, man. I was like, I had no idea at the time what was getting ready to happen to me. Like just looking back at it now, there was a process I wasn't even mentally prepared to take. And the first thing he did was just make sure I was good. Like that was his job. And I've seen numerous coaches over time kind of just stand and watch. I've seen coaches keep huddles while their players on the ground with the trainer. Like that was basically, to me, seeing that was more or less like if I saw my son in that scenario, it would reassure me that my son was going to the right person in a sense.
Right. Did you know how bad it was, Coach, when it happened?
I had a pretty good idea. Yeah. The thing for me was it was like eerie, because we were number one in the country and we were the best team in the country when I had Kenyon Martin. And we had Kenyon Martin, the number one pick in the draft, Pete Michael, the number 3 or 4 pick in the draft, not Pete, DeMar Johnson. Pete was an early second round pick. Jermaine played in the league for a while. I mean, we had Satterfield and Steve Logan, and I mean, if you remember those names, Logan was the best player in the country his senior year, and Sat was really a terrific point guard, particularly in transition. We were loaded, and Kenyon broke his leg against St. Louis in the first game of the conference tournament, and it was the same. I got a picture that I pretty much look at every day. That's the other guys in a huddle after Day went down, and they all got tears coming down their eyes. Not because there goes our best player and we can't win, because they cared so much for this guy, and it's hard not to be honest with you. But just to me, it was so eerie. And the thing that stood out to me was when I went out with Kenyon, and he didn't say what's going to happen to me. He didn't say there goes my career. He didn't say anything like that. His thing was, Coach, I wanted to win this so bad for you. I wanted to win this for you. And I'm like, hey man, it ain't about me, it's never been about me. It's always been about us. And, and then I go out today, and they didn't say exactly those words, but it was kind of what he said. It was like, Coach, I want to go. I want to go. And I'm like, listen, man, you got a lot of basketball ahead of you. Just you got to do what people are telling you to do, man. And he said, yeah, but I need to go, and started talking about his teammates, and and the whole thing. And it was eerie, but it was two guys that I knew how much they cared, separate guys, different, but they cared. They cared about their teammates. They cared about their school, cared about the people who had supported them, and it's, they're the same today. And to me, that was what I got out of it. And then, it's you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about people. And this, I think he will always be remembered as, the Da'Sean Butler, man, and the guy. And everybody will continue to say, damn, they hadn't got hurt. So,
right. Could you have won the title that year if he didn't get hurt?
Sure, we could have. I mean, those guys are, they tell me all the time, Coach, we're just getting ready to make a comeback. We do, because we had done it all year, really.
Yeah.
We were not a great first half team.
Yeah, well, facts.
But we were a hell of a second half team. And that's what all those guys talk about. We were just getting ready to make a run here.
Is that true, Day?
I mean, honestly, we probably had 2 blowouts all season, and the rest of the season were all close games. We were like built for close games. And if we were down in the first half, that wasn't a worry. I feel like that was something that Coach Huggins brought with him his first season in. I don't remember who we were playing, but when we were, this is not to bash Coach Beeline or anything like that, but more or less when we played our games our freshman year, if we got down pretty big, we kind of stay out of the games. I mean, we're mainly shooting threes. Teams kind of out-rebounded us a lot. We were young. Then next year, I believe we had a couple games we got down big, but we also came back from being down really big and won a bunch of those games. So us seeing that happen, that was just the norm for us to know we can come back in games throughout the rest of our college career. So we have tons of games where we will be down big and come back and win those games. So, and we had them that season. So it wasn't anything foreign to us. They make runs. We have to make a run. We're going to make our own run. But ran into some bad luck. So it is what it is. They shot the ball great. They won. And I'd rather not lose to Duke, but I'd rather we lost to the team that won the championship though. So